Hey, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Stateside Speed. I'm your host, Shaun Thompson. A little different format this week due to the fact that I was away on vacation and all of us were otherwise busy with our day-to-day lives. But we're happy to be back, and we're hoping just to give you a brief overview of the last race that occurred last week in Hungary, and then also give a brief preview going into the race tomorrow at the famed Spa-Francorchamps racetrack in Belgium. So if you didn't catch the race last week, it was another very exciting race with McLaren finishing 1 and 2 with some controversy at the end of the race. Oscar Piastri picking up his first victory of his career, which is fantastic, with his teammate Lando Norris finishing second. The controversy arose due to the fact that Piastri was ordered to give up his first position with about 3 laps remaining, which he did following team orders, allowing Piastri to pick up the victory, his first of his career. Now, there is a lot of speculation and asking, should Lando have actually done this? And I think it's hard to say. I think Lando really showed what a great teammate he is, and I think it was also a big show of consolidation for the team in general, just knowing what Oscar's done to help Lando get to the point that he is, including helping him get his first victory in Miami. So I think this is good overall for the McLaren team, but it does introduce, these are very competitive gentlemen. They want to win. They're not racing for second, they're racing for first. And just because McLaren strategists screwed up royally once again, they need to get over this so that they're not putting their drivers in these horrid situations. It was the pit strategy that ultimately pushed Piastri out of the first spot. He would have won the race had the strategy been better, but they gave Lando the undercut that wasn't going to suffice, obviously, and so they ended up giving Piastri back P1, and he ended up winning the race handily. But McLaren looked ultra strong. Lewis Hamilton coming in third position, and then Max Verstappen really struggling throughout a good chunk of the race overall, and finishing fifth in the race, probably one of his worst finishes of the year, with the exception of when he gonna cut that. But overall, one of his worst finishes of the year. So this allowed McLaren to also make up some further ground on Red Bull and the constructors, and also allowed Lando Norris to make up some room, very slight room, but very, very making up some small points in the drivers' standings as well. So overall, very exciting race. Once again, Hungary is always a great race to watch. However, it was also fantastic. Again, just a little biased here. Seeing McLaren finish 1 and 2. And so other big stories that really occurred. Kick Sauber still not living up to their or I guess living up to their expectations. Still haven't scored points yet. I was looking a little bit hopeful that they would score some points, but overall, nothing really major in the of where teams finished in the lineup necessarily. So, but overall, was a great race. It was a lot of fun to watch. And now going into Spa, the last race of the summer prior to summer break and the official start of silly season, sees Max Verstappen having to take a 10 grid penalty for the use of a new power unit going into the race. And so qualifying was earlier this morning, and Verstappen did take first place, but now he'll start in 11th. Now Charles Leclerc will start on the pole, with Sergio Perez finishing quite high up in the order, and he'll start second, followed by Lewis Hamilton, who officially finished fourth, but will start in third position, followed by the McLarens in fourth and fifth, and so on and so forth from there. So again, it'll be interesting to see if Max can charge up the field, see what kind of damage he can do. He's had this issue before at this racetrack, and he charged up quite readily. I expect the same thing tomorrow. The weather conditions will be much improved compared to what they were today for FP3 and also for qualifying. They had rain the entire day. They were on intermediates the entire qualifying session. and they should have a nice dry track tomorrow. It's going to be relatively cool, all things considered. It's going to be in the low 70s for temperatures, and they're running in the mid-range for tires, with the C2s being the hard and the C4s being the softs for the week. So expect this is the longest race of the year. It's also the longest track of the year. It's only 44 laps, but the track is just over 4 miles in length. And so a lot of tire degradation with the high-speed turns and also with the low-speed turns as well. But this track challenges the drivers to their maximum. And so it should be interesting to see what McLaren ends up doing with their strategy. Hopefully they don't screw it up royally again this week and putting their drivers in bad situations, but also allows them to move up the field in short order as well. But it'll also be interesting to see how Verstappen responds and how quickly he is able to move up the field, or does he kind of get backlogged in the midfield? They get backed up in there as well. Other drivers were looking quite quick, but in overall comparison, Verstappen was well over half a second faster than the car out there as well. And that was with the rain ongoing as well. And so should be an interesting race. Not a whole lot of new real subject matter to bring up when it comes to drivers and teams and those types of things. Still waiting to hear the official word on whether Kimi Antonelli is going to take the second seat at Mercedes behind George Russell. That seems to be the way that things are going in that regard when it comes to the second seat at Mercedes. And it's seeming more and more likely that Sergio Perez may be sticking around at Red Bull. Hard to say. I think a lot of it will be determined upon his performance this weekend in Belgium, and then probably for the next 2 or 3 races as well. I don't see Ricardo or Yuki Tsunoda moving up into that second seat anytime this season. That has been rumored, but I think Carlos Sainz is holding out hope that that Red Bull second seat will open. But if it doesn't, I could more than likely see Carlos Sainz signing with Alpine, and probably seeing Valtteri Bottas signing at Williams if that seat still remains open as well following all of this too. But I think Valtteri is too good of a driver to go unsigned. If Sainz does not take the job at Alpine, I think Jack Doohan's is the most likely candidate to fill that position going forward. He's been their reserve driver for a couple of years now, and I think he should be filling in that spot because he's been doing a lot of work behind the scenes trying to help out the team. And should be interesting to see, too, what happens as Alpine is moving on from their team principal after a half a season thus far, which isn't shocking because they did not have a whole lot of experience going into the season as well. But a lot of things to come. The silly season starting after this week will be great. I'm sure we're going to have an episode or two to kind of discuss and go over things as they occur with driver signings and those types of things. So please stay tuned. We'll try to put out things on our socials and all of those avenues to get you the information that you're looking for. And with that, we're going to get into some predictions here now. And so I'm going to cut over to Dennis and also to Aaron and see what they're thinking going into the race this weekend with their predictions and bold predictions as well. Take it away.
Hey guys, Dennis Truska here, ready to give you my predictions for tomorrow's Belgian Grand Prix. Now, first up, I want to give you a little disclaimer here. I watched qualifying. I know where everyone placed. I know where everyone's starting tomorrow. Typically, when we give our predictions, we don't know that yet, right? So I'm not sure if Aaron and Shaun know the results of qualifying, but I just wanted to get it out there. I already know, so that affects my predictions for tomorrow. Okay. All right. So getting into it a little bit, Max Verstappen did finish P1. However, he has a 10 grid penalty that he needs to adhere to for placing a power unit. So he'll be at P11. Not concerned here. I do not have Max in my top 3 finishing tomorrow. I don't think this is not the Max of last year. I do not think he fights his way up and even gets to the podium tomorrow, unless something crazy happens, right? A crash, maybe 1 or 2 restarts, those kind of things that can get him a little bit of an advantage. But I think he stays outside of the top 3 tomorrow. However, I know McLaren's, they did not do great. So Lando's P5, Oscar's P6. I think Lando has a chip on his shoulder after last week. He wants to prove. A lot of people kind of thought he was being whiny. I happen to think he was right. McLaren screwed up the strategy. They should have pitted Oscar first if they wanted Oscar to win, right? It did not work out for them. Lando got out front, And then he started building a lead. Oscar could not even catch him. He had the pace. He had the faster car. He was driving better that second half of the race. They should have let him win. Oscar's first win is tainted. It's a shame. I love Oscar, but I don't know how you could feel good about that win. So I think Lando's going to come back. He's going to race hard. He's going to kick some ass. He's going to win the race. P1, Lando. I think that Leclerc is also racing very well. He had a very good race last week, finished P4 just off the podium. I think he comes in P2. And then I think the Mercedes are going to be up there. They're going to be fighting, and I think Hamilton gets another P3 this week. As for my bold predictions, it's kind of centered around Sergio Perez, right? So I know Perez finished P3 today. He's got a lot to prove. He's trying to prove that he deserves to stay on Red Bull. But I don't think he does it in the race. I think it's going to get to him. He knows Max is behind him trying to push up the ranks. I don't think he finishes in the top 5. He's outside of the top 5. And that's not even the bold prediction part. The bold prediction is that tomorrow will be his last race with Red Bull. He's gone after tomorrow. Before we get to the next race, Perez will be removed from the team. There it is. So P1 Lando, P2 Leclerc, P3 Hamilton. Bold prediction, Sergio Perez finishes outside the top 5 and loses his seat ultimately at Red Bull before we get to the next race. So that's it. Thank you all for listening. Please share, like, subscribe, and follow. Appreciate your support.
Hey everybody, Aaron here with Stateside Speed. We are a day away from the Belgian Grand Prix, and I'm here to give you my predictions for what's going to happen tomorrow at Spa. I'm going to start off lots of drama from last week, not only with McLaren, but also with Red Bull as a team in general, with VCARB and Red Bull. Verstappen getting his 10-place grid penalty. Yuki Tsunoda starting at the back of the grid as well. Then also Danny Ricciardo, not really happy with his pit strategy that they gave him. So a lot of things to watch out for. Qualifying was a little tough for everybody because of the rain, but it looks like the weather is going to hold out. Should be a good day tomorrow. And with that, we're going to jump into what my predictions are real quick here. I'm going to go starting off with P3. I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. Might sound like a bit of a bold prediction, but I think he's got something to prove. He's got something to show everybody that last week was not just because he was up until 3 o'clock in the morning playing his sim races. So I'm going to go with him at P3. P2, I'm going to go with Carlos Sainz. I could interchange this between him and Charles Leclerc, but I think Sainz is going to come out and get a podium this week, and I'm going to put him at P2. And then P1, I'm going to go with Lando Norris. He's had great races the last few weeks. They're going to do a good strategy, better than what they did last week with him and Piastri. I think for what it's worth, Piastri comes in at P4. And on the flip side of that, I could also see, and this may also sound like a bold prediction, but it's not my bold prediction. I could also see Verstappen winning this whole thing. So just recapping for the sake of what I've got here, got Norris P1, Sainz P2, and Verstappen P3, Piastri P4, whatever that's worth. And then my bold prediction is going to be Sergio Perez P5. He's still got something to prove. He wants that seat next year. He wants the seat the rest of this year with Red Bull. I think he's going to have a good race, and he's going to come out P5. He could even possibly make the podium, but for my bold prediction, I'm going to say P5. That's what I've got for my predictions. Let us know what you think. Like, share. If you enjoy what you're seeing, let us know. Interact with us. Thanks for the support, guys.
Okay, we're back. Thanks for those outstanding predictions, guys. Those were fantastic. Those were quite the bold predictions. I will say, Here's my podium for tomorrow. I think McLaren's going to move up the field. In particular, I think Lando Norris is going to move up the field. They were quickest quite a bit in FP2. I think they bring that magic back. I see Lando Norris taking the win on this race this weekend. I see Lewis Hamilton finishing second. He has been on fire the past few races. Actually, the past 5 races, he has been back to his elite self, and he's got a car underneath him that's going to make some noise as well. So I think him starting in the top 3 with the grid penalty that Max Verstappen is incurring is going to be helpful. This is a track that he has had good success at in the past as well. Third place, I see Max Verstappen finishing. I think he's going to charge up the field. It's just a matter of how high does he get. I think he's going to get a little tied up at the beginning of the race in that midfield section, but we'll wait to see. And my bold prediction is that Max Verstappen will pass Sergio Perez for the podium on the second to last lap. And it won't be by team orders. I think it's going to be a fight. I'm not as convinced as Dennis is about the losing of the seat necessarily. I think he's bought himself a little extra time with the performance thus far this weekend. However, if Perez crashes early in the race or tumbles down the order, I could probably see a little bit more of that going into the summer break. And so hard to say. I think if Perez has a solid race, finishes in the top 5, I think he keeps his seat. I think for certain if he finishes outside the top 10 or is a DNF this week, he's done. He's out. But I think Verstappen will pass Perez for the last podium position in the second to last lap. So 43 out of 44. So with that, we're going to wrap up this super short, super sweet stateside speed. I apologize that we weren't able to give you the usual length of show with more in-depth analysis, especially with the race last week, because that was pretty exciting, especially with what happened with McLaren. But we plan on bringing you a couple episodes over the summer break, especially as the drivers and the teams are solidified for next season. And we'll also try to keep things updated on all of the socials that we have ongoing as well. You can find us on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter, and also on Instagram. We've also been posting some YouTube shorts as well, so please follow along with those and interact with us on those sites as well. If you prefer that as well, we're going to try to put out more of those as the year goes on as well. It seems that folks really enjoy those quite a bit as well, and I think we've really enjoyed making them for you. And again, we just appreciate all of you that listen to us and take a small moment of time to just listen to what we have to say in our non-expert opinion, but just as true fans of the sport, we really are excited to have this up and going, and we just can't wait to see it grow, and hopefully we can get bigger and better each and every week and bring you a really great show each and every week. So please follow our socials, please interact with us, and hope tomorrow is a great race, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, folks.